Look, the Guardians are not a good offense. They were the worst offense in the American League last year. They swung at a lot of pitches out of the zone tonight. They didn't take advantage of some of the mistakes they did get. But still, for a Dodgers team that has very few concerns really outside of Roki Sasaki right now, I thought it was a positive.
Yeah, it was a positive just in the fact that it wasn't a disaster. This feels like they just kind of kicked the can down the road, right? In terms of, because I don't think you look at this today and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's going to be on a rotation all year. What this did was basically it kind of delayed the ultimate decision, which is, do we send him to the minor leagues? Or do we move him to the bullpen?
Hello and welcome back to the Dodgers Post. I'm Jack Harris, the California Post Dodger beat writer, along with our baseball columnist Dylan Hernandez. We are here for our first post-game show of the season.
We're moving up in the world, man. We got chairs, we got the mics.
We're moving up. Look at these things, like little director's chairs.
Yeah, it's a little bit, I'm a little bit worried, honestly, that these things might collapse under our girth.
But all right, well, if we take a tumble, you'll know why. Segue time. The Dodgers took a tumble tonight for the first time this season. So we record on this Monday night. They're not going to go 162-0, Dylan.
I didn't say they would.
That's true.
They can lose 41 more times, according to my calculations.
Still get to
120.
What is that, like twice a week? So they took their one loss tonight, despite the fact that Roki Sasaki wasn't terrible. He wasn't terrible. I know. We were debating this offline. You were far less impressed than I think everybody else was with this outing.
This kind of feels like this is like a guy that got an F on his last test, gets a C minus.
Spring was an F, all right.
Spring was an F, and he gets a C minus, and he gets patted on the head for like good job. I mean, he gave 4 innings.
4+ innings. Got into the 5th.
Well, 4. I mean, I would argue actually 4 innings is better than 4+ if you're going to let the guy on in the 5th.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, look, compared to what the narrative was coming into the night with him, it was, should he be starting the season in the minors? Will he be able to find any sort of semblance of command in the strike zone? He was coming off a Freeway Series start where he walked 6 guys and hit 2 others. He even said himself he had almost no confidence internally, little confidence internally coming into this one.
Well, he said he had less confidence than anybody else.
Okay, well, everybody else had 0 confidence. Right. So, and yet, it was okay at a bare minimum. He was in the strike zone enough. The fastball velocity was good. This new third pitch cutter sweeper thing, whatever they're calling it, which no one really seems to know what to call it, helped him. Look, the Guardians are not a good offense. They were the worst offense in the American League last year. They swung at a lot of pitches out of the zone tonight. They didn't take advantage of some of the mistakes they did get, but still, for a Dodgers team that has very few concerns really outside of Roki Sasaki right now, I thought it was a positive.
Yeah, it was a positive just in the fact that it wasn't a disaster. This feels like they just kind of kicked the can down the road, right? In terms of, because I don't think you look at this today and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's going to be on a rotation all year. What this did was basically it kind of delayed the ultimate decision, which is, do we send him to the minor leagues? Or do we move him to the bullpen? They were able to kind of postpone that decision. And frankly, right, they will not have to make that decision, or they can't make that decision, right, based off, right, the fact that Robleski, it didn't go great for him today. So, right, that's theoretically the next guy up.
Right.
And then you're kind of waiting for, like, Blake Snell to come back. They're probably like another month away from that. So, look, he's probably going to hang around for like another month now, but I don't really think he definitively answered anything. I mean, I think if the Guardians, frankly, if they keep the bat on their shoulders.
Yeah, there would have been more walks.
Right, there would have been more walks
tonight.
Right, they were very aggressive. They swung on at a lot of bad pitches.
I was wondering why a lineup that has like 2/3 of bad hitters swings as much as they do, but
yeah, I didn't get it at all. Right. And so,
okay,
am I convinced? No, but it's kind of, I mean, you got to keep in mind like who Roki Sasaki is too. And I'm going to throw you in this group, right? In terms of like, this almost felt like Dodger fan blog night in terms of, right, his post-game press conference where everybody was trying to like spin this positive, like, Roki, oh, like, this was so great, like, that and he went out of his way to say, I couldn't get through 5. I was not satisfied with how I pitched. because he
Wasn't very efficient.
And again, I understand people that don't follow Japanese baseball are not aware of this, but he is Roki Sasaki, right? When he, at his introductory press conference, this was a guy who was compared to Paul Skeens, who they were talking about being a Cy Young Award winner.
Yep.
He's so far from that right now, right? And frankly, the bar has been lowered to the point where, hey, he goes for and just doesn't completely implode and put the game out of reach. That felt like a victory. And that to me kind of signifies just how much and look, that is their reality right now. That's true. But I mean, I think Sasaki, even as he was kind of fielding these questions, was kind of like, wait a second, like, do you know who I am? Like, I'm not supposed to be the guy that you're supposed to applaud over 4 innings.
Okay. The way I would look at this is that with how bad the spring went, right? I mean, you wrote it. He was broken. It's going to be a long process to fix. If they're going to get to a place where, like, he is somebody that's starting games, like, throughout this season, which, whatever, is not an impossibility right now, you got to start somewhere. And to me, tonight was at least, again, for a guy who was low on confidence and couldn't get the ball anywhere near the plate for 6 weeks in camp, the fact that he came out here tonight, I think sort of in the way that the Dodgers envision. I mean, we wrote about this over the last couple of weeks. After all of his bad spring starts, Dave Roberts said, I'm not concerned. Yeah, I talked to Brandon Gomes the other day. Said it hadn't even entered their mind that he could go down to the minor leagues, that there was no concern.
Yeah, those are real credible quotes there.
But, the theory from the team was that in a regular season environment, he would have to be more in compete mode. He would have to get out of his head with all the mechanical things that I think were negatively impacting him during the spring to some extent. And he would have to at least, like, go out there and just pitch.
That feels like such a charitable interpretation of everything. No, because, like, I think...
I mean, it's a low bar,
right?
But I think that's where the bar is
also,
at right
though,
now.
Right, again, that ultimately you kind of have to decide where does this guy kind of fit into things. And I think that they were kind of, like, basically trying to force, in a way, that decision of, okay, this is kind of embarrassing for you. What are we going to do now, right? Are we going to, because here's the thing, right? The Roki Sasaki at 20, 21 years old, the best version of Roki Sasaki, that guy might be gone now for all we know, right? People's bodies change. And if he's gone, it means you have to rebuild this guy from scratch. And if you have to rebuild him from scratch, this is not the level at which to do it. And so... I think they're just kind of stuck in this place right now where he's kind of here. They're not really sure what to do. And I think that they were trying to almost kind of force that into play, right? And Sasaki himself, after that last spring start, said, hey, if they think it's better to send me down to the minor leagues, they should send me down. And so, I don't know. To me, this kind of feels like it was just good enough. They kicked the kind of can down the road. And if ultimately, like, you're going to have to, like, right, maybe reinvent this guy where the guy's going to have to kind of come back as a different pitcher, this is just delaying that process. Because I didn't really see anything today, honestly, where I thought, right, now maybe here's the thing, right? It's like, because I think he's, like, so in his own head now. I mean, frankly, the thing that didn't work was his best pitch today, his forkball, right?
They got whiffs on 3 to 5 swings.
but he missed a lot with it. It was not something he could, like, rely on, like, right? I mean, usually, like, in spring, if anything, we saw when he kind of got back to the corner, he would just, like, spam those things, right? Like, throw it on every pitch. And the fact now that, like, my guess is that he fixed something and then now that's screwed up. And yes, you can beat a bad team like this, but again, we're talking about Roki Sasaki. This guy is probably the most talented pitcher that country has ever produced. And this is not, we shouldn't be looking at him like as like, oh, great, he went 5 innings.
But that's where he is right now, right? So, like, for as much of an ace and phenom as he looked like coming over here, that's not where he's at to begin the season. I guess the way I would ask you this is, like, do you look at a start like tonight as, like, a potential first step that, okay, maybe next week it's a little bit better. The fastball command's even a little more dialed, and the splitter's better. I mean, the cutter, like, helped him tonight. Like, do you see the ingredients that he can build on coming? Because I think that's the question. Is this a start where he kind of got away with just being okay against a bad team? Or was this, a game where he made improvements from the spring that maybe can lead to further improvements moving forward that can help him get closer to being, like, to where we're not judging him against like, oh, you didn't walk 6 guys, congratulations.
Well, to me, just kind of having watched them all spring and even today, it feels kind of like he's been playing this game of like, okay, I'm going to plug this hole here, but then something else leaks, right? And he plugs this one and something else leaks. And again, like today, basically, like I thought he lost again command of his best pitch, right? The forkball.
Does he ever command that pitch?
Well, not command it, but yeah, he throws it. Like, he's not. Here he's like, I don't even know how you would say it in English, whatever, but there's like a word where basically like, he's like missing, right? He kind of loses the handle on it completely.
He had the one that struck out Ramirez. It was like way up in the zone.
And these things just kind of just fly off, right? And so like, now look, if he can fix that and he can just kind of be around the zone with it, right? The arm talent's there where he's going to be able to probably get through like 4 or 5 innings.
And I would argue that's the thing I would trust him most to fix is like making the splitter an effective pitch.
But here's kind of the other thing, right? In terms of like the rotation, the bigger picture of the rotation is that Emmett Sheehan, something is not right there, right? I don't know if it's mechanical, if it's his health, whatever it is, he does not look like himself. He gave him 3 1/3 in his first start. And you have this guy going 4 innings. Those things start adding up, right? Yeah. You can't have...
Starting next week when Justin Wrobleski, who pitched the final 4 innings tonight to really save the bullpen, is going to probably have to slot into the rotation as the schedule, picks up a little bit.
So now you're kind of starting to dig into that depth, and right, that's going to tax the bullpen. And if I were to say that, right, what the primary obstacle to them winning 120 games... It's
history, a long baseball season.
It's that like last year, right? Because the state of the rotation is bad. That's going to put undue stress on the bullpen, and it's going to make it harder for them to kind of close out. Now, obviously, like Edwin Diaz has been fantastic, and I think it was great to the Guardians kind of helped them by basically fielding on all lefty lineup.
Right.
But the fact that they were able to kind of bring in Tanner Scott and he was able to go after those lefties, I think was a really good sign, because now that Edwin Diaz has the 9th inning, you can deploy Tanner Scott more strategically like that. And I'm guessing we're going to probably see a little bit more of this than what we saw last year.
And I think to the way the rotation workload is going to be important is because the bullpens look good in this first week in a way that it did not look during the spring.
They look, and the thing is, here's the thing too. People forget, like that first month, the bullpen was fine last year, right?
Exactly.
And it was just the accumulation of innings that I just think ultimately caught up.
Right, that wore them down and put them in a position where they had to lean on the starting pitching as much as they did last October. And because of that, you expect that at some point there's going to be injuries or struggles with some of these guys that had to pitch a ton in October last year to where they're going to need to lean on the bullpen. And putting a bunch of innings on them early this season, especially, again, as the schedule picks up. And, I think like with Sheehan, the hope is that, okay, he was sick at the start of spring. He's working through some mechanical stuff. He's probably still kind of in spring training mode right now. He's a couple weeks behind schedule, but it hasn't looked good. And you're right. Between Roki, between Shohei Ohtani, who's still a little bit of a wild card for at least how I think he
looks awesome right now.
Yeah, but at least for how many innings he's going to be pitching regularly. Like he's not going to be giving you 6 or 7 innings every 4 or 5 days.
I don't know, man. Well, not every 4 or 5 days.
Right.
But don't count him out, man.
Right.
I think that this guy looked phenomenal.
Because of that, like the innings are going to have to be covered somewhere, and I agree with you on that point. That if there's one kind of concern you'd have right now, it's okay, how exactly is this going to look over the next couple months until you get Snell back, until you get some of the other relievers back that can help shoulder innings? Now, that said, on the offensive side, you could argue there's a concern there because the top 4 or 5 guys in the lineup just have not really hit in these 4 games. Even though the Dodgers are 3-1, they came back and all 3 games against the Diamondbacks, swept that series, had a really good opening day. But since then, it's been a little bit of a slog. Do you want to... You want to sound the alarm bells there too, or
Freddie Freeman made the mistake of talking to me, right? He caught the jinx, right? I mean, this is the thing, right?
Freddie's fixed, folks. Just ignore his. What was it? 0 for 4 today is.
Yeah, I know. I was telling my boss like, hey, we got to post this before the game. You just don't know what's gonna happen, right? But in all seriousness, they're going to hit. It's going to be fine. They're too good not to.
There's nothing about, because I think the one thing would be, they got the Team Silver Slugger Award before the game today. It's a really good offense, obviously, but like there's parts of the last couple games at least, and again, we're only going off a 4-game sample here, but like that were somewhat reminiscent to me of the second half struggles they had. I mean, tonight they had 2 on in the third, Ohtani at the plate. They come away empty because of a dumb base running mistake and Ohtani chasing. No concerns here. I'm trying to prod you.
No, I'm not concerned at all. Now, look, the lefty thing, right, in terms of them throwing a lefty at Ohtani, I mean, we saw it at parts of the playoffs, and obviously that was problematic. But, I mean, again, what I would argue is that, now with the Diamondbacks, they didn't have any lefties, but they did avoid him, right? Mm-hmm. And what we saw was Ohtani, he took his walks, right? He still got on base. And what I liked, and again, this is totally old man screaming at the clouds type of stuff, but, right, was the fact that who was the runner at second that one game? Freeland? Right. Yeah. And, Ohtani hits the grounder to move him over to third. And, the next day, right, he eventually scores, right, a run. And, the next day, right. Yeah. The next day we saw, Mookie kind of take his walk and Will Smith hitting the home run right after. I do think that because this team has kind of been together for so long now, they've seen everybody come through. And I do think that those experiences kind of deepens the trust between the guys. And, right, because here's the thing, right, if Mookie Betts is playing on the Angels, say, and you're in that situation and you're the only guy in the lineup, you might have to expand the zone and kind of chase, right? And the fact that these guys don't have to do that, not only do they not have to do that, they understand it, they accept it, they're willing to do it. I think it's just going to make them really hard to beat, right? And we just saw in this last Diamondback series, it made them hard to beat in a series where I don't think they played particularly well. Right. And so, look, they're going to hit. They're too good not to hit. And the fact that we're seeing good signs from everybody, right? The fact that, Freddie Freeman should probably have 5 home runs right now. He's right. And Mookie Betts, the fact that he hit his home run to right center. Yep. We're seeing, right, the fact that Teoscar Hernandez looks lighter, right? The fact that Max Muncy looks to be like in better physical shape also. I mean, because one of my concerns about this team, and I think we talked about this going into spring training, was the fact that, hey, you know what? These guys have a chance of just kind of getting old overnight. It happens to players. It happens to teams, and that they could just fall off a cliff. And I haven't seen any sign of that happening yet. And if that's the case, they're going to be fine. I love Kyle Tucker. I don't know if I would want Kyle Tucker to be the best player on my team. The fact that, though, he does everything really well. He was a good defensive player, good base runner.
The defense has really stood out.
Solid hitter. Week. He does everything really well. On this team, it's just kind of perfect. And so,
let me give you one thing to watch, at least moving forward. And it's a specific concern, but it's against left-handed pitching, which is something they weren't good against last year. And I think what you've seen in these last 2 games, part of the root of those struggles is you can neutralize Ohtani, you can neutralize Tucker. The guys who have to be better in these kind of matchups are Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez. For the 2 guys, yes, Mookie had the home run, he had a double. Some of the swings have looked good. The overall numbers are not yet. Same thing with Teo.
He hit a ball hard today, though.
I know, but he's batting 200. Teo's batting 143. I understand these are small samples, but those are the 2 guys. I think if you look at this whole group collectively, and especially if the guys that didn't have the seasons they wanted to last year, those are probably the 2 guys that were the biggest question marks because of the age and because of how they looked a season ago. And it's going to be, I'm not worried that they're going to, be bad this year at this point, but it's going to be really important, them specifically in these kinds of games, that they can help kind of balance out the lineup from the right-handed side.
No, don't you think, though, that the fact that, right, so far when they faced lefties, it's been, right, Dave Roberts has swapped Will Smith and Freddie Freeman.
It was a great decision on Saturday night when Will Smith hit the 2-run homer.
But I kind of wonder, right, if this is something that kind of tactically they evolve over the course of the season. This is the beginning, so it's like, okay, this is like our lineup, whatever, because the guys aren't going to change too much. But I do wonder, right, if they're going to go up against teams that have like a bunch of lefties in the pen, do they start mixing it up a little bit more? And my guess is that they will, right? I mean, this is the one thing we've seen with this organization and Dave Roberts is the fact that they're willing to kind of make changes. My guess, again, is that those problems will be kind of taken care of will be taken care of, at least from the managerial standpoint. And, yeah, I do think that the players will respond to that.
All right. Other storylines from this week. Do you like Edwin Diaz's live trumpet entrance?
I love it. Yeah, I don't understand. What's the lady's name?
Tatiana Tate.
Well, yeah, I saw on Twitter it's the verdict seems kind of split. I don't understand it at all. I actually like too when she kind of improvises and stuff. Just putting a little, because that is such let's be honest, that's such a City Field thing. That's such a New York thing, and to me, this is kind of putting a little LA twist on it. I have no idea where Miss Tate is from. But it kind of feels okay, we're putting the city's kind of putting its own little mark on that celebration. I love the mini trumpets
that was a good touch.
that they brought out.
I'll tell you what, the thing that is the actual performance quality aside, hearing that song and having that scene when he enters games, it's such a difference from the ninth inning a year ago when Tanner Scott would come in and a nervous Paul would fall over this place, and that became such a recurring issue. What do we do about the ninth inning? We're losing games that we should be winning. And the fact that now you have, for my money, probably the best closer in baseball, not only at the back end of the bullpen, but with that aura. I mean, Dave Roberts talked about it from the other side when they would go to Citi Field. The night that Timmy Trumpet himself was at Citi Field a couple years ago when the Dodgers played them. I think it does kind of add something to the intimidation factor and the security that if you're the Dodgers, you feel with the fact that you have this guy at the back end of games, the way it sets up the rest of the bullpen, the way I think over a long season it can kind of help keep momentum going, opposite of what we saw last year where every time, especially down the stretch, they seem to be, finding some sort of stride. Tanner Scott would blow a game, and it just kind of created this uneasiness over the whole year.
Do we know if Tatiana Tate was here today?
I don't think she was,
because they need to
opening weekend.
Because they need to put her on retainer, right? And I know she's a professional musician with a real job. They need to buy her out of her contract, whatever she can earn.
What, are you worried that he's going to blow a save the first time she's not
here? That's going to be a thing.
This is.
Have you ever met a baseball player? These people are so superstitious. You can't have if he comes
there goes
out.
My take for the best closer in baseball. Can only pitch if Tatiana Tate is here.
If he comes out and blows a save on a night that she's not here, it's going to become a thing. And if it's not a thing...
It sounds like it's going to be a Dylan Hernandez column.
Right, if it's not a thing, I'm going to make it a thing. No, because we can't do that. You gotta keep running her out there.
You want her to just work for the team now?
Yes. I mean, how much could she possibly be making?
They would have a lot of money to pay, I would say. I was almost surprised they didn't just pay Timmy Trumpet whatever it would require to have him here for these first.
Well, whatever, games, right? If they want to save some dollars, and right, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what Ms. Tate's rate is, but whatever she's earning, they need to at least triple it. And just say, okay, you're going to just, I mean, this could get pretty tough. I mean, we've slogged through baseball seasons before, at the end of June through July, you can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. And you're just like, what am I doing with my life? So she's going to have to deal with that existential, trauma. But I think everybody has a price. And
no, plead to her on camera. Well, State, please work for the Dodgers.
Well, this is like a Dodger. I mean, if they offer her enough money, she's going to do it.
All right, I think we've got too far off the rails now.
It's late at night. It is late at night, and we're just too excited right now. I mean, I feel this is our first step towards, Hollywood and respectability.
These chairs. I thought you were just excited to be the one person to write that Roki Sasaki wasn't actually good tonight.
He wasn't. He was just. I mean, he was okay. You got to have higher standards. He's Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, I don't think he is Roki Sasaki in the way you're saying it, at least right now. But
he's not.
It was not a disaster. All right, anything else about this?
But because I challenge these players, make them rise to the occasion.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, because look what we saw. I compliment Freddie Freeman.
You said Freddie Freeman needs to prove himself 3 games later. Oh, Freddie Freeman's great. He's going to age like a nice...
I compared him to a 2015 Cheval Blanc, which was rated 100 points by the Wine Advocate, and look what happened.
Yeah. You want a bottle of that?
He played like Charles Shaw today. That's a $2 bottle from Trader Joe's.
I know that. I know Barefoot Wine. We're on that scale. All right. Anything else about this first couple games standing out to you?
No, just they're going to be fine.
I mean,
every team's going to, it's hard to get worked up over this. But again, I think with the Roki Sasaki situation, it's still kind of wait and see. It's going to be kind of interesting. And you know what? I'm just more interested, again, tomorrow. Shohei Ohtani out here. I mean, his breaking stuff looks so nasty right now. Right?
Different. He is if you haven't watched him this spring, it's a different pitcher than we saw last year because of how much more of his arsenal he can use, because the command looks like it's better, because just physically he's in a different spot than he was a season ago, even after a spring where he didn't get like a normal pitching buildup.
And he's almost so nasty, it's like bad for him, right? Because sometimes, when
That's what happened in his
right?
freeway
Yeah,
series.
right. That's what I mean. Like the pitch count starts escalating because like no one can make contact early in counts. So, yeah. So move on from this thing for today, and in another week we can relive the Roki Sasaki drama. I'm guessing this is going to be a week-to-week thing, but tomorrow we got Ohtani. I think he's going to be pretty good.
All right. Well, the season is off and running. The boring camp is over. God, that's been the best part about this week. It's like compared to spring, every little thing right now is like feels so exciting. It's like actual news is happening. Actual developments are happening in the season. So it's good. All right. Well, from Uniqlo Field at Dodger Stadium, thank you to everybody who voted in Dylan's Twitter poll. What did we go with?
The Clo.
The Clo.
The Clo.
The Clo is the nickname?
QLO.
Yeah. Is Edwin Diaz the closer with a Q now?
Yeah, he is.
We won't be back here next week. Both of us will be in, where are we? Oh, Monday we're in Toronto. World Series rematch. Go rewatch our Game 7 rewatch with Dave Roberts. That was fun. We'll have some more World Series related coverage ahead of that. Until then, when we'll talk. Thank you for watching.